internet. How are we tackling it? SMS us India Space Yes, so India Space No to 6388 or to 63880 if you're in the UK. You can also log on to ndtv.com and cast your vote on verdict. Well, as the debate over sex education in schools rages in many parts of the country, it may actually be redundant. We now bring you the special report on the dangers that the internet poses to children who are logging on. There are, of course, huge advantages, but how much do parents actually know about what dangers their children may be drawn into?
It's not just cities. In fact, children all across India are logging on as the internet spreads. In fact, according to one estimate, more than 100 million Indians regularly log on to the internet. Now, the net also provides, because of its entire nature, a virtual hunting ground for predators. The inherent dangers are there. And while many of these cases of abuse are not being reported, the police say that there are several cases where children have been abused online.
According to the National Crime Records Bureau, online crime have increased by 40%. According to one survey, 1 in 5 children online is aggressively approached by such predators. To find out what kids were up against, NDTV went undercover and online. We logged on to several chat sites posing as 14-year-old Parul. We gave her a profile similar to most 14-year-olds. A girl who lives in Delhi, loves ice cream and movies and is in the 9th standard. We first log on to the popular Yahoo chat and sign up. Within seconds, there is a deluge of invites for personal chats. This is Cyrus Broke, who claims to be a 23-year-old from Jaipur. Within 2 minutes of chatting, he offers to pay for sex.
I have a cool offer for you.
What?
Wanna have safe sex? You could earn 1,000 rupees.
I've never done it. My parents say I'm too young. I don't think I should do this.
Yeah, it's a secret. Karoge?
The man who's chatting with her even advises her on how to make sure that their online relationship stays secret. He asks to meet Payal and gives her his phone number. So he's clearly not worried about being traced or caught. An hour into the chat and Cyrus offers to drive down from Jaipur to meet Payal. Cyrus explains what he's looking for and states his sexual preferences, and then he arrives in Delhi 4 days later. Posing as Parul, our reporter asks him to meet her at a park in South Delhi. That's when we move in and make it clear to Cyrus that he's caught soliciting sex from a minor.
You come to meet this girl, right? Why did you come to meet her? How do you know her?
That's that.
And what exactly were you hoping to do out here? Very clearly you are saying that you actually were offering to pay her 1,000 rupees to have sex.
No,
She's even minor, right?
Yes.
But do you know having sex with a minor is an offense?
I know that. I didn't say that I'm writing this.
You didn't write this?
I didn't
Which one
write
is it?
It has been overwritten.
Overwritten by somebody else, is it?
Yes. It has been hacked or
It's been hacked.
Amrita is one such teenager who found out the risks of internet firsthand. This 15-year-old is an avid net surfer. Her parents did not want her to be distracted from her studies and so did not get an internet connection at home. But Amrita, urged on by her friends, used to go to a cyber cafe every day to chat. That was when she met Raj online, who over time even convinced her to give him her mobile number. To this date, Amrita has not told her parents of her fateful encounter with Raj.
He told me that he is a young boy of 20. He convinced me that you have to meet me, you are my friend. After 1 month or 1.5 months, I met him in that CP pizza corner of CP. But जब मैं उससे मिली तब मुझे पता लगा कि उसका कैरेक्टर भी ठीक नहीं है. He was just pushing like me. उसने मेरे को यहाँ पे सपोर्ट करने की कोशिश की. तो मैंने कहा प्लीज kept away from me. लेकिन फिर भी उसने बोला कि नहीं मैं बहुत अच्छा हूँ ये है. तो मैंने कहा तुम्हारे कहने से कुछ नहीं तो तुमने मुझसे झूठ बोला है. तो that was I was stunned to see him because he was not a boy of 20 years. He was just an uncle type boy that belongs to 30 or 35. That he has some mustache and all that. Beards are very long braids. So I was shocked and I was so scared कि how could I do this and how could he can do this with me. तो मैंने बोला you did lie. Okay, तो उसने बोला कि नहीं मैं ये कर दूंगा तुम्हारे फ़ोन पे नंबर ये और इस तरीके से बोला तुम्हारे घर पे आ जाऊंगा तुम्हारा नंबर एड्रेस पता नहीं उसे कैसे मिल गया शायद मोबाइल कंपनी से मिल गया हो.
Amrita's ordeal ended when she threatened the man that she would call the police. And with the internet gaining popularity in India as well, parents will have to ensure that they educate their children about the risks online and also build trust so that kids can turn to them when in trouble. In Delhi, Siddharth Pandey for NDTV.
Well, joining me for more on that debate tonight with me is Mr. Pankaj Agarwal, the Joint Secretary of the Ministry of Information and Technology. Also with me, Tim Cranton, Senior Director of the Worldwide Internet Safety Programs, Legal and Corporate Affairs, Microsoft Corporation. And joining me from Mumbai, Swati Shah. Now, she's a friend of somebody who actually had a bad experience herself on the internet. Let me start with you, Mr. Pankaj Agarwal. When you see a story like that, it points to, I think, in a way, the contradictory nature of social mores in India. On the one hand, parents try their best to protect children. Who do they meet? Where do they go? Monitor their movements, but they can't really monitor the net. How does the ministry, how does the government wake up to this threat? I think our report quoted 40% rise in cybercrime in the last 1 year.
The net has four major players. You have the content developers, the providers, the network service providers, the hosts, and the users. Now, the content hosts and the network providers want immunity. We don't want to be responsible for whatever is happening on the net. The content providers want freedom of expression. The users want freedom of choice. The poor child and the unsuspecting girls are the ones who are victims, and this is exactly why we need to, apart from the legal side, because the law has its own limitations, I think there is a greater need for awareness and what I call cyber hygiene. We need to start training people on understanding what to do on the net, how to go on the net. Children should be protected from entering chat rooms. Teachers must chaperone them, and parents must also guide them.
But how does that happen? I mean, if it doesn't happen at the government level, it doesn't happen at the legal level, it definitely doesn't happen at the school level. I mean, many of these facts are eye-openers to me, and I don't think it's general knowledge at all. How does this happen, especially when there's been an explosion of the internet in India? Who is responsible for this awareness?
To some extent, I would say that the government is coming forward. We have an awareness program, and we will be going on with making them aware of also the law. There is a law which protects, although it's not so child specific as yet, but the fact still remains that the more important thing is social awareness through NGOs, through public networks, through schools, and a general campaign that should go on rather than look at just the legal side.
Right, before I come to Tim Cranton, let me go across to Swati Shah from Mumbai. You've heard a representative of the ministry talk about the awareness that needs to be created. How aware are young people when you get onto the internet? Many people just get onto the chat site because nowadays it's an easy way to make friends. You may not meet them in school or college or wherever. How much do people realize that there could be predators out there?
I'm not getting you.
Basically, I was asking how aware are people, young people, of the dangers of getting onto chat sites and often being approached by people who may have different intentions in mind?
Yeah, actually, I would like to narrate one incident that happened few days back. There was this one girl, okay, she didn't know anything about the internet chats and all, and she went on to she went on to become friends with one guy. And then later on, the girl was so innocent that she got into him so much that she didn't know. That guy came to know about her number, and then he started harassing her on the phone. That is, I would call as sexual abuse on the phone, and telling her that, you know, if you don't come and meet me, I will come and tell your parents. Poor thing that she didn't know that she's been indulged into all these things. And then she came in contact with us because my brother and I, we run an internet site, and I'm an advisor in that internet site. So she got in touch to me, that is with touch with me, and then we helped her out. Like, I spoke to that guy as if that girl's name was Meeta, okay, so I spoke to that guy as Meeta, and then I was successful in getting out his telephone number, which he was refusing to give the girl. Right. And then luckily we got in touch with that guy, and then we gave the number to the parents, and we were able to find out as to who this guy was. It is not safe. I think children should not indulge into internet chatting at all. It should be avoided, and parents should take an important step in this. It's very important nowadays.
Right. Tim Cranton, you've been hearing the different views. You watched that story. Now, I think the dangers of internet pedophilia really hit the headlines 2 years ago in Europe when an inter-country network was actually discovered. There was then when police, I think Interpol called for international legislation on this. What is the law? How do you actually solve this? Pankaj Agrawal talked about the danger that, in a way, how do you police the internet which its very nature lies in not being policed?
I think I agree that first and foremost it's education and awareness. We need to have a strong policy in place, but what it really comes down to is that we all have a joint responsibility, the industry, governments, parents, and children, to educate themselves about some of the risks and to learn some of the basic rules. Cyber hygiene, I think that's a great way to describe it, is just you never give out your personal telephone number on the internet. And if parents are having conversations with their kids about these issues, then all these things kind of come out, and we kind of address the online world the same way that we address parenting in the offline world, where we're talking to our kids about going to the playground, not talking to strangers, and just some of the basic rules that we understand as parents.
But is there any more active policing that can be done? I mean, I think the irony here is in many of these cases, the children aren't telling their parents what they're doing. And often the great threat or the risk being held against them is that if you don't come with us or we don't comply with us, we will tell your parents. Now, in a situation like that, it's not really fair to place the entire onus on parent and child. What responsibility does the industry have here?
The industry has a strong responsibility to step up and help and to provide tools. And I think Microsoft, as an industry leader on the internet, has a responsibility to develop tools that empower parents and that enable the kids, the children, to feel safer and to feel that they can report these things and that they can tell their parents what's been going on. One of the key things that we advise parents is, start having this conversation. You don't need to be a computer expert in order to understand the basics of the internet. And then your child will feel comfortable. When something happens that makes them feel uncomfortable on the internet, they feel better coming to their parents. There also should definitely be very strong enforcement in place and a strong mechanism so that those crimes can be reported and prosecuted effectively.
Can a crime like this be prosecuted and reported? It can be solicited on the internet. How can you report it? Who do you report it to?
The law has its formulations, and we can prosecute a person under the IT Act. There are provisions for harassment, for for accessing a person's privacy, and technologically there are filters, and the law can require schools and public places to install those filters.
Even on popular chat sites?
On popular chat sites. The issue is, how do you distinguish the bad chat site from the good chat site? Because the content, typically a filter does not recognize content unless the person who is designing the content comes clean and says this is an adult, this is a super adult, and these are the kind of filters that are under the Internet Content Rating Association. That's happening, but as I said, it's all in a very evolving stage at the present
hazy
moment.
right now. Swati, let me ask you, you said as someone who works at an internet site, what would you like to see happen to actually make the internet a safer place for young people? What would you like to see change? What do you think the government or internet or the industry should actually do?
I feel that they should, if they are installing internet in their college or any public places, they should not allow children absolutely out there. And in case if children are coming to surf the net, I think the parents should be aware of it. And first of all, I think they should ban children from visiting all these sites, because it really creates a bad impact on them. And then they happen to tend to take a different move in life.
Right.
So this is what I feel should be, it should be stopped totally. That's what I feel.
Right. So next viewpoint there from somebody whose friend has faced the brunt of it. A viewpoint here perhaps saying that a lot more still needs to be done. We need to figure out a way of perhaps doing something which contradicts the very nature of the internet, policing it. It's something which I think internationally now is growing. Let's just see how that actually works out. I'm glad Microsoft at least has a committee up looking at safety regulations. And thank you, Mr. Pankaj Agrawal, for joining us on that tonight. A rare and frank bureaucrat from the Indian government. Let's just look at the final verdict tonight. What do you, the viewers, feel? Are parents today aware enough of the possible dangers on the internet? The final verdict coming up there. This is SMS and online verdict. Well, 78% say yes, so that's a good trend. Perhaps parents are aware of it, and hopefully then are more aware of monitoring how much time the children spend and what sites they're visiting. 22% of you say no. Still a sizable number, a number that needs to change. Thanks so much all of you for joining us. Still ahead on India 60, India at 60.
Confused about your career? Tension mat le yaar. Visit Education Worldwide India across 14 cities in association with NDTV.